Republicans have launched an all-out assault on democracy, and with the stalled prospects for passing the For the People Act and the John Lewis Act, it sometimes feels like we're powerless to fight back. But not so. Independent journalist Judd Legum points out that Texas Democrats successfully fought back against a terrible suppressive voting bill by walking out. Now, Republicans say that they're going to remove sections of the bill that would have limited voting hours and would have allowed Texas judges to void an election based on dubious evidence. Meanwhile, in the U.S. Senate, Chris Murphy of Connecticut points out that D.C. Democrats are not at the mercy of Republicans, tweeting, "Why let Republicans decide the size of an infrastructure bill when reconciliation is a perfectly legitimate process used unapologetically by the GOP when they were in power to do a bill that will actually make a difference? It's not cheating to use the rules." Here's the question. When will Senate Democrats actually pull a Texas-style stand-up for democracy? TBD. I'm joined now by Jason Johnson, professor of politics and journalism at Morgan State University, and Susan Del Percio, Republican strategist. And Jason, let me go to you on this first, because what happened in Texas is that what you would think could happen in theory in D.C., that Democrats just said no, walked out, didn't deny a quorum. And now what's happening is you have Republicans going, whoa, 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 sold to the poll Sunday. We didn't mean to take that out. That was a typo. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This idea that a judge could overturn an election is actually abominable. That's one of the guys who wrote the bill calling his own provisions abominable. The message to me is the bullies try to take your lunch money, give them a good slapping, good slapping around, and they leave you alone.
Well, Joy, that's completely true. And I could go into all sorts of mythological hagiography about how tough people are in Texas, but they really are sending a message to Democrats in Washington, D.C. For all the times the Democrats can take a knee and selfie from doing sit-ins and wear kente cloth, at the end of the day, they haven't really shown an ability to fight when it comes to serious and important issues. And here's the thing. That fighting should actually begin within their own caucus, whether it's Sinema or Manchin or Feinstein. They need to surround these folks on a regular basis and say, this is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to happen. Otherwise, there will be consequences for you in a way that's going to make you very, very uncomfortable. That is where the fight needs to begin, because we already know where the Republicans are. The Democrats seem to have this difficulty of herding cats on issues that should be very easy for every single one of them to appreciate and for their constituents to benefit from.
And Susan, it seems to be really mainly Senate Democrats in D.C., because you look in Georgia, Stacey Abrams, Democrats fight like hell around the country. They don't play around. Val Demings is not weak. She's going to fight like hell. It just seems there's something going on with Senate Democrats. I want you to just tell me, as a Republican strategist at one point, how long would it have taken Republicans to put all the stuff they wanted on a reconciliation bill without having any conversations with 20 Democrats in a get things done caucus or whatever they call themselves? How long would it have taken? 8 seconds, 9 seconds, 10?
Under 10. But what else, what else they would have done by now? Because they already, in essence, did it. They would have blown up the filibuster.
Hello?
Let's not forget, when it came to the Supreme Court in October last year, the Senate Majority Leader then, McConnell, who sometimes still we see as acting more like a leader than Chuck Schumer, which is a separate issue, he changed the rules for a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court. You don't think he would do that next Tuesday if he could? I mean, so right there. Now, and it's nice to say that, yes, playing by the rules is not cheating. Play by the rules. But use the rules to your advantage, because that's where we are right now. The other thing I would consider is putting stuff up for a vote. You know what? You want to see how bipartisan works, bipartisanship works if you're Joe Manchin? Put up SR 4, which doesn't really exist yet because the House hasn't introduced it this session. But if they did, see how many votes you get. What are you going to do with 54? So now what are you going to do? Now you're going to reintroduce it, or you're going to try and get rid of the filibuster? Because that's the problem the Democrats have right now, is that they're not forcing the issue every single time. And that's exactly what the Republicans do.
And do it in a way that it's on TV. I mean, Jason, it's absolutely right. You have now the hemming and hawing going back and forth. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Michael Bennet of Colorado warning Biden not to compromise too much on things like tax increases for top earners and mitigating climate change in the bill. You have Ed Markey saying no climate, no vote, I ain't voting for it. You're having all this hemming and hawing inside the Democratic caucus, which makes no sense. They're negotiating against themselves. I don't understand why they're bothering to do that. Do you?
Well, no, I don't. But this is one of the reasons why Democrats continue to fail, right? They get these amazing opportunities, and then they fail to actually do what their constituents have asked them to do, and instead want to negotiate with a small minority. And this is the thing that I've said all along. And it doesn't just have to do with reconciliation. It has to do with individual policies. It has to do with negotiation. It has to do with judges. I'll say this, Joy. I was saying this during the 2020 election. If you want to look at the long-term strategy of the Republican Party, it's always been voter suppression and judges. Rather than sending Vice President Harris down to the border, I said, Joe Biden should have said, you know what, Vice President Harris, you're a brilliant lawyer. I want you to go through every single judge that Donald Trump got into office, look at their applications with a fine-tooth comb, and let's impeach any of them that forgot to cross an I or dot a T. That's the kind of thing that an empowered president would do. Get rid of the long-term impediments to democracy that Mitch McConnell and the Republican Party have been putting together for 20 years. They won't have power for that long. We don't know what happens in 2022, but Democrats seem to think that they have this forever runway to get some Midwestern guy in a diner in Lorain, Ohio to say, gosh darn it, I guess I am okay with these rights for now. That's never going to happen.
It is wild, but and maybe, Susan, it's because Republicans, as Jason said, just want two things: judges and tax cuts, right? And voter suppression, three things. And, as Chris Hayes has said, they have the advantage of being able to filibuster everything they hate, but pass everything they like, meaning judges and tax cuts, through with 50 votes. I don't understand how we've wound up in that situation, but how do we get out of it? What would a Republican do? Tell us, please.
Well, but here's the thing. Those things are fine. Yes, they want it. But what do they really want? They want to win. With those things, they win. That's
exactly
what they're looking for. And that's the difference. They want to win. And they are saying, I can win with voter suppression. I can win with judges. And I can raise money with tax cuts. That allows me to win.
That's it. And you know how Democrats win? Pass all that stuff that you said you were going to pass when you were running. If you pass all that stuff, I don't care how you pass it. Pass it. That's how you win. Jason Johnson, Susan Del Percio, up next. The Bidens meet the Windsors.